little update video today. If you follow my channel, you'll hopefully have seen a review of these wonderful Brogue boots, the Hawkshead from Herring Shoes, back in March. So I've been wearing them a lot since then, so I thought it was worthwhile doing a 6-month update or thereabouts. So if you want to have all the details, please go back to my video from March, but I'll go over the main points of these boots and tell you how I found them, really. They've been really great. I've worn them a lot in the last 6 months. And to be honest, with a bit of care and attention, they're looking almost as good as new. Obviously the rubber soles holding up well, but they have seen quite some wear. So I've worn these almost daily during the working week. Traditionally, or typically, you try and wear your boots or shoes in rotation, just so that the leather can sort of dry a little. But as I because I was enjoying wearing them, I was also keeping them on shoe trees, I figured, well, maybe it doesn't matter too much. And they are looking fine for it, to be honest. So if you haven't heard of Herring Shoes before, they're a company that's local to me. They have a huge range of shoes manufactured for them, often by makes that you'd be familiar with. Lokes, Churches make models for Herring Shoes. They're down in Kingsbridge, which is just on the south coast, not too far from where I live. I've been to their store. They've got a lovely warehouse and they can give you very, very good personal service. Equally, I did buy these online. I asked some questions by email and they were fantastic to deal with, and these came almost next day if I recall correctly, but certainly very quickly, and a very easy buying experience. I say a bit more about the buying experience back in my video in March, but obviously they do a nice package. You always get a few extras, such as little carry bags for your luggage, so you can put your shoes nicely in your travel bag, little shoe horn, not so necessary with these because they've got a pull tab on the back, but always nice to have. And these also came with some beeswax shoe cream in medium brown, which I've been using to keep these looking good. So, experience with these shoes, these are a country last, so a slightly more generous fitting. Country last is normally sort of indicating they expect you to wear it with sort of thick socks, walking rather than sort of formal office or, occasions, if you will. It's a F fitting, so relatively wide, but not super wide. If you follow my channel, you'll see that I've recently reviewed some Archies from Grenson. They're a G fitting, and they are super, super wide. These are a generous width, but fairly normal proportions on the toe there. So quite a sort of elegant pointed toe, really, isn't it? So very easy break-in. One thing with boots that I've discovered I've not had formal boots before, but with these, the break-in really isn't so much about what's happening up on the toe section. It's sort of snugging your heel into the back of the boot, so your sort of your upper sort of tightening up there to force your foot back there to just find that really comfy fit. Initially, the lacing doesn't look as tight as you might like, as your foot finds its sort of position in the boot was my experience. But apart from that, very, very easy break-in experience. The soles are wearing really nicely. I'll come in for a few close-ups just so you can take a look, but as is always the way, I wear the heels very hard. I'm thinking about, once that goes down a bit more, I might get one of those little metal studs, segs, and hammer that in just to try and even out the wear. I've not used them before, I've always wanted the opportunity, so maybe I'm going to take that opportunity now. So the soles are wearing really nicely. They're a Dianine rubber sole, which I always find to wear pretty hard. And they've got a nice sort of low profile, so they almost look like a formal leather sole to a bystander, but on the bottom you've got a nice bit of grip, and plenty of wear. So pretty happy medium in a formal shoe. The uppers, to be honest, they're looking like new. The stitching's still perfect. The colour is a deep brown with a nice sheen to it. This is a pebble embossed calf leather, and part of it's down to good quality leather, but I have also looked after these quite carefully. Maybe not as much as I would have liked to, but at least on a monthly basis I've applied the shoe cream, which Herring provide, and then alternated that with a clear polish from Sophia, which is also a really good product. Very odd smell, but a really good product. To keep the edges looking nice, it always looks a bit sort of disappointing when these leather stacks go faded and chipped and they don't look sort of very well nourished. So I've used a darker shoe cream, which just happens to be by Church's, which just seems, I'll let that soak in for a bit, then just polish it back off, and that seems to keep the edges looking nice and fresh. So a bit of care. Obviously, shoe trees, absolutely essential to keeping your formal shoes looking nice. So anytime I'm not wearing these shoes, anytime I'm not wearing a formal shoe or boot, I keep a shoe tree in it. It helps keep the shape. It stops any additional creasing going on the sort of forefoot, so it forces them straight, and it also wicks out the moisture which will come into the boots whilst you're wearing them. So incredibly important to keep your shoe trees in your shoes. Really the best investment you can have for keeping your shoes nice. It doesn't need to be expensive wood ones. In fact, the wood ones aren't that expensive, but just to have something to help air out the shoe, to keep it straight, to keep the forefoot looking or removing the creases, really important. And aside from that, an occasional soft bristle brush just keeps the oils and waxes and whatever's in the polish, just keeping it moving around to keep it look nice and even and as good as it can be. Literally seconds on a sort of daily basis will keep your shoes looking great. Okay, so we'll just quickly pop in for a few close-ups. As I say, they are looking pretty much as good as new with regards to leather uppers. Obviously there's creases as they've worn in, but the leather really has got a lovely deep colour, no scuffs, no obvious wear at all. The stitching remains perfect, which is a pebble embossed calf leather, full brogue pattern on it. It's looking absolutely wonderful, really. Certainly as good a sign as any that you should look after your boots, because it is nice when they look this good after 6 months. The leather edging, the stacked leather heel, I've also paid attention to that to make sure that's polished with a coloured cream. That's all looking good. The Dianite sole, obviously the forefoot there takes the majority of the wear, but still plenty of life. The heel on the side, that's how I walk, and might need some attention obviously with a stacked heel like this. It can be rebuilt in isolation, so if you really wear your heels hard and your forefoot doesn't need attention, you can come in and sort that out. Triple welt, Norwegian welt, just to create an extra buffer from the water, just the splashes. I've not had a wet foot with these, and they have certainly got very wet on lunchtime walks in the rain. The leather obviously darkens, but quickly sort of dries and regains its luster, really. Normally if I get them absolutely soaked, that's the time to give them a bit of attention shortly after, but they hold up pretty well. On the inside you've got the dark blue sort of glove leather lining, a little bit of wear down at the bottom where the heel rubs, but ultimately that's what it's there to do. It also makes the boot glide on easily with the pull tab on the back there. Yeah, so looking good. 6 months in, and I'm sure they'll look good in another 6 months. As I've said, absolutely fantastic boots. Really nice company to deal with. even if they're not local to you, they're fantastic by mail order. And we'll sort of be back in probably 6 months having another look at these. Plenty of life left in them, and after that, certainly worth a resole. No doubt in my mind about that. And yeah, so I hope that's helpful. If you haven't seen my channel before, please check it out. If you're into quality footwear, denim, everyday carry, fountain pens, pen knives, coffee, cycling, all sorts of different things. Basically, if it's of interest to me, I put it on the channel. I like to have that dialogue. I like people to watch it. I like to share information. So please check it out. We might share some other common interests. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And I'd love it if you subscribed. I'll see you for the next video. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.